Hello, everybody. We are back, and this is my second episode of Odden. Very excited to see that many people tuning in last night, and I have a lot of topics, so don't worry, I won't be going away anyway anytime soon. This is my studio reading glasses. Because it looks like I'm 53 years old soon. I will take them off. I look only 49. There is something to age and music which is very interesting to me. A lot of metal people are very nostalgic about especially the mid-80s and of course the beginning of the 70s. But we are in 2025, and I want to give you some perspective of how this affects the timeline of metal and where we are now and how things will go in the future. Because I've seen everything since the very beginning of extreme metal, I have some things to share with you, especially younger people. People my age will nod like, yeah, everybody knows this, but I'm positive that a lot of younger people don't really know everything about the past of this genre. First of all, 2025, going back to 1985, that's 40 years. To give you a perspective on how long ago this really is if I was 13 years old in 1985, thinking back to 1945. So none of the people I got to know in the metal scene in the early years would come to me and say, this kind of music was so much better in 1945. There was literally nothing from 1945 playing on the radio even. Maybe Bing Crosby with White Christmas and documentaries about the Second World War, all that stuff. But we have to remember that in 1945 it takes another 10 years for rock and roll to emerge in the 1950s, 1955 with Elvis and all that stuff. So this perspective have given me some insights to where we are now, because I pay attention to a lot of these music channels on YouTube. I follow a bunch of them. I think I've been watching maybe way too much videos of people either ranting about the state of music right now compared to when things were supposedly much better. They have rants about genres not being true to themselves, etc., etc. So this episode will be about genres, development, and why it doesn't really matter at all. And if you're a young person today watching me saying this, everything I say can be used as a part of a history class. But there's a few very important things about this that connects to where you are as well. In 1985, I was 13 years old, and I was collecting records very slowly because I didn't have that much money, so I had to be very clever about what to buy. And I think I bought this one specific compilation album online. Online at the time was post-ordering from pictures of records on the back of a magazine. You have to write a letter to this magazine and order music on LPs, and they send it back to you. Very analog version of the internet, but that's the world I was growing up with. Anyways, this album came to my attention, and this is a as you can see, speed kills, the very best of speed metal. So what the hell is speed metal? Well, according to genre pondering in 1985, all these bands are speed metal. And what's really funny to me is that behind every song there has been someone from the record label writing a little sentence to explain to the audience what this band is, what genre they are, and how they sound. So the first band out is Hallows Eve, Metal Merchants, and then it says Maiden meets progressive thrash, legendary. I had no idea at the time. This is probably the weakest track of the whole album. I never liked that track, but hear me on the rest of this. Next band out is Exodus, A Lesson in Violence. Very formative thrash metal song, but in the exclamation marks it says raw energy but tighter than Dave Reynolds' wallet. I don't know who Dave Reynolds is, but it's probably a guy with a tight wallet. Music to nuke cities to. Very interesting. Next out is Destruction, Bestial Invasion, and the explanation for what that is speed, total speed, horrid, but amazing. So it's focusing on the speed metal part. And then there is Bulldozer. Song is called Resurrection of the Living Damned. And then it says, I don't know if this is meant to be a thumbs up really, but it says Total Venom clones, meaning whatever this band is doing is very similar to Venom, but better production. Not bad. Italian band. Very, very cool. And surprisingly, the next song after these four brutal tracks is Metallica, Fight Fire with Fire. And it says, best track on RTL. I didn't know that meant Ride the Lightning at the time, because that was coming out literally almost at the same time. But anyway, no commercial wimp out here. Interesting. Then it's Slayer, Evil Has No Boundaries, live. Unreleased live version by Speed's Greatest Demigods. So all these bands are then speed metal. I'll move on to the side 2. Possessed, Pentagram, The New Gods, Total Thrash Mayhem, intense with big letters. And I must say, when I heard that song on this particular album, I knew that there was something going on which was beyond all the normal metal bands, which was much darker and much more sinister. But still, on this one, the next album, no, the next artist on this album is Exciter, Riders from Darkness. New song by Canada's #1 power metalers. I remember I thought that was kind of a weak track, especially after Possessed and Slayer and Metallica, Destruction and Exodus. And surprisingly, song number 3, Venom, black metal. I was like, wow, new version. Alternative, brand new version of classic Total Mayhem. Wonder where Mayhem got their name from. Very cool. Next one out, Voivod, War and Pain, raw but total death, love or fuck off and die. And that track to me sounded like the most insane track on this album altogether, actually. Anyway, next band out is Megadeth, Rattlehead, progressive thrash, question mark, technical thinking man's fave thrash band. All right. Last one out is Celtic Frost, Into the Crypto Race. Euro thrash. Once a joke, these guys now kick serious ass. I didn't know what that was referring to until I learned about Hellhammer, which all the people in the established metal press at the time hated because they sounded so awful. So this is a presentation of speed metal. So all these bands are some version of speed metal in 1985. All the bands look like this. I was looking at the pictures of these bands, and what stick out to me particularly at the time is Voivod, Slayer, Destruction, Celtic Frost, and Possessed, because they all look so mean and brutal. And in this collection of photos, Megadeth is pointing a gun at you. Venom actually looks like a, I don't know, no studs, no nothing. So I was like, they probably are more normal. So anyway, I was sitting with this album for a long time until I heard anything else from these bands, because I didn't know how to get the records, because no record store where I lived had this in the store. And it took a little while until I realized that all these bands had catalogs of albums that I could purchase. And all of these people at this time in 1985 are in their early 20s. My guess here is that maybe the Venom guys are the oldest. They're probably like 26 something. Very old. And the development of the genre that we are now calling whatever you like, I guess, right now. Thrash metal, death metal, black metal, progressive thrash. It's way too many genres. But if you're a young person now, in listen to me, 19, in 2025, you can go into any streaming service and find all these bands' catalogs on top of a million bands' catalogs of music. And you have no clue to what came before what, unless you are really searching. And still, I know, for instance, on Spotify and services like this, you can go to an album and it says copyright or release, some sort of date, but a lot of these dates that they claim are totally wrong. So there's nothing secure about that. And why am I talking about this? Well, it's very important to understand that where I come from, the really old days, basically I started to listen to this music just slightly later than the Second World War. We didn't really have any view of the genre other than it was different from normal heavy metal. We called it speed metal, and then it divided into all these other things. But the most important thing for all of us was another totally forgotten thing, was that if you want to have a band, regardless of what you want to do, creating your own sound and sounding like you was the most important thing. And that's what I really learned. All these bands sound super different. Very different drum sounds, very different guitar sounds, and super different ways of singing. And what was so interesting to me is that I thought that that was the idea. Create your own band, but make sure that you sound slightly different from all the others, because if you do that, you can carve out your own niche in music. And when you're really young, what you're actually striving for is an identity, and you want to belong to something. So the belonging to something is belonging to the music that connects with you. The output of something should be your personal way of interpreting your emotions into music, and create your own specific sound and thing that you really love. And from there, when you know how you sound, you can wander into anything that just brings your own attitude and your own sound into it. Never try to follow any trends. If you're a trend follower, you will never, ever, ever, ever be successful. You have to create your own space and your own sound. So that is my conclusion of the second episode of Odden Podden. With glasses, without glasses, who cares? I'm 52 and a half years old, soon to be 53, so I shouldn't give a fuck about anything. So with all that, that's the rant of the day, and I will keep posting these things, and feel free to send in questions, subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of things coming up, and I want it to be kind of interactive, so if you have specific questions or whatever, maybe I'll answer them or give my own take on what you are wondering about. So with all that, thank you and see you soon.
You are watching